My little sister Sarah is a marathon runner, and I was very grateful that she was not in Boston on this Monday past. She does travel around the country running in different races, and she very easily could have wound up in Boston, but my heart goes out to the people of Boston, and especially the people that stuck around when there was imminent danger to help the wounded. And a couple of years ago, my little sister Sarah talked me into running a race with her. It was a half marathon in Madison, Wisconsin, and she's a well-trained athlete, and I'm me, but I'm competitive enough that I trained for a couple of months to do well in the race, and I flew to Wisconsin, met her in Madison. We started the race at the same time, and I was ahead of her for the first couple of miles. So mile 1, mile 2 at the check marks, they encourage you to stay hydrated and alternate like a cup of water for the odd numbered miles and a cup of Gatorade for the even numbered miles. And I was doing fine until I got to mile number 3. And at the 3rd mile marker in Madison, Wisconsin, there's a frat house, and there's guys out there with 4-ounce servings of cake beer. And I didn't want to slow down, but I didn't want to pass up the opportunity either. So I took a couple fistfuls of Budweiser, and I kept on running. And it was about that time my sister caught up with me, and I said hi to her with a nice Budweiser belch, and she surpassed me, and she was waiting for me at the finish line, and was giving me some grief about coming in after her, but it was I that had the last laugh. I went to her house later on after the race, and I was going to log on to the computer to check my email and let people know that I'd survived the race, that I didn't perish during the run. And I noticed that my sister's Facebook account had been left logged on. And my sister maintains that I hacked into her account, but if you leave your Facebook account unattended, it's not really hacking into it. But I posted the following on her account under her name. It says, "Can't believe Mike finished the marathon ahead of me. Way to go, big brother." To which several of our mutual friends clicked like or chimed in with congratulations, bravo, or bullshit. It took me a few days to recover from the race, but knocking the run off my bucket list helped to instill a greater admiration for the people who choose to run 26 miles on purpose. So for my sister and for the brave people who tended to the wounded in Boston this Monday past, this is a piece I wrote called Tag. Hope you like it. The last time my father held me, I was 7. I was playing tag across the street in the Johnstons' pink 2-story house. I think it must have been just after lunch, and a bunch of 7-year-old peanut butter and jelly energy was rounding the corner on the 2nd floor, and Chad Johnston, a mere 6 years old, was hot on my heels. I could hear him gaining in strides with Mercury's wings as we thump, 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 thumped across the slippery floorboards, my lungs red-hot embers. And I remember Chad's laced-up keds treading steadily behind me on that straight shot of a hallway. See, the secret to tag is to always pace yourself so you can reach into that last reserve, that burst, that desperate surge. And I knew if I could make it to that angular stairway, I could maneuver my way through a hard right, and another hard right, and I just might be able to buy myself some time, some distance. One hard right, pa-dump. A second hard right, clinging to the white handrail, pa-dump. And then, where there was supposed to be 10 fuzzy and frayed carpeted stairs pointing my way to freedom, I found an obstructed descent filled with fresh laundry, an unforeseen roadblock with no detour in sight. Well, this wasn't in my blueprint. Having little time to think, not wanting to curtail my momentum, I leapt into the air, soaring high above. Knee socks, tube socks, dress socks, one rainbow-colored sock with a hole in the toe, bras, blue jeans, boxers, briefs. Hey, look, some Spider-Man underoos, just like mine, far out. 2 Sunday dresses and a wine-colored blouse. That had to be all the laundry in this 2-story house piled halfway up to the ceiling. But the momentary feeling of escaping Chad Johnston's outstretched, waggling tag finger was worth it. It was worth it until I hit the floor. And more pain than I had ever known in my short span of a 7-year-old life came shooting through my leg bone. Too young to have known that it was called a femur. And I felt it snap, crackle, and pop like some anatomical breakfast cereal. And the pain was purely physical, nothing mental nor ethereal, and so perhaps Chad would honor my screams of time out. But Chad had no doubts of what I would have done if I had been in his laced-up kids. I remember Chad carefully trudging around that ridiculous Calpertha of laundry, reaching the bottom of the stairwell and leaning down, but not to see if I was really hurt. He touched me on the forehead, beads of 7-year-old sweat bubbling back at him, and he declared, "Tag," in the most factious of matter-of-fact voices. And he promptly thumped off into the kitchen and far, far beyond. Helpless, I yelled even louder. Mrs. Johnston's dexterity as she worked the phone's rotary dial was stunning. Numbers spun around dizzily as my crying crescendoed, magnificent pain melding with the humility of being it. Again, the other end picked up and Mrs. Johnston calmly asked my dad to come and get his screaming son. Mrs. Johnston needed a timeout too. We lived across the street, but I was still impressed with how fast my dad got there. He carefully picked me up in his arms and carried me out to the car. Moments later, I was stretched out in a Moody County hospital bed. My screams had subsided. I decided to be brave, earning smiles and sympathetic sighs from the neighborhood nurses. And I was lying back in my Spider-Man underoos and flimsy blue gown, reading a Walt Disney's Uncle Scrooge book. Hey, Dad, look, it's Donald Duck, and neither one of us is wearing pants. There were plenty of pants in that laundry pile, though, a mile high. Dirtied up Levi's, grass-stained Wranglers, writhing beneath my vaulting, fragile limbs. Once the x-rays were developed, I was awarded 2 silver crutches and a chalky white cast. They kept me company that June and July, some 30 summers past. So if I were to tag any of you right now, are you the type of person to just sit and be it? Would the game stop? Would we just call it quits? Or would you make good on the playful urge to tag someone next to you or behind you? Forget old school, let's get grade school and call no touchback, Shelley. I bet if most of you would probably be up for a game of tag, and if I tagged Neubauer and Neubauer tagged McCrae and McCrae tagged her and she came after me, and I would probably have no choice but to run. Around the tables, breezing beyond the barflies, out the door, down towards Geist. Running shoes? Check. I laced them up twice. Racing over to the Oasis, past the post office, rounding the corner at the Red Fox in my hiked-up, size 12 athletic tube socks, dodging between the Dodges, the Chevys, the Subarus, the Beamers, running with my calcium-enriched, healed-up man femurs, thump, 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 heading southbound, out of town, down past Mexico and Honduras, and I skipped Guatemala because that's how fast I run, son. I shall not be outrun. I shall not be overcome. I shall not be tagged. Not today. You can lace up your running shoes and I won't even ask for a head start. I will defeat any obstacle and I will not need a timeout. I haven't used a timeout since 1979. The stage and the moment is mine, and it's been 30 years since I've used any crutch. So who wants a piece of this waggling tag finger, huh? Because about the time you give up trying to tag me, just a few huffs and puffs past the Pizza Hut, I will round the track and double back here to the motel. And before the applause for this poem even begins to fade, sucker. So if you want to keep up, I'm heading due south, and I can run this distance just like Justin Bieber runs his mouth. And the things big brothers claim might not always be right, but Sarah, I bet she'll log off her Facebook tonight. So to the Botel regulars, my colleagues, and to all the other smiling faces, I thank you from the bottom of my shoes and my doubled up laces. Thank you.